All right, welcome back. Tending Fire men's groups, men's community. Today, we're going to get into the core practices and why we practice those core practices. Another way you can say it is the elements of the structure of when we meet in our men's groups. And if you aren't in our men's groups and you're listening to this, it's something you can get started with every day in a 10, 15-minute, even a 5-minute journaling practice. Or you can, start your own men's group or, even with one other person. These 5 elements in order uh, have been shown, in my experience, facilitating these men's groups and other kinds of circles as well, but they really work well with men, uh, are really powerful. To say it like that. So, what are they? And I went over them briefly in the Welcome podcast. So, I'm just going to go into deeper. Take a deeper dive with it on this podcast, on this episode here, and kind of explain the architecture. Sometimes you just get into a car and you drive, but kind of we're going to get under the hood and I'm going to explain a little bit, well, that's that and that's that. That's where you put the uh, windshield wiper fluid, that kind of thing. So the 5 elements are centering, gratitude, vision, action, inspiration. 5 things that you can remember them on one hand. And really, this is a methodology for circle work in general. And over time, I'm going to be teaching circle work, more broadly to people who want to learn how to facilitate circle work. This is the kind of the skeletal structure. The skeletal structure of the circle work practice that I've been developing and integrating from other techniques and facilitation teachings that I've been learning for a number of years. So the first one, why do you start with centering? Well, I've been calling it Tending Fire men's groups, and true, it is a group, but when we come together, we're coming together in a circle. And circles are something, in nature, here in our existence, but they're also, there's an archetypal level of what a circle is. It's a sacred geometric pattern, a circle. And especially for, doing dialogue work, a circle it's a very powerful way of coming together, different than a meeting. When you come together in a circle, you can get into those deeper levels of thinking, feeling, and getting in touch with what's really going on. And it's really because we are connecting with, whatever you want to call it, our spiritual source, the source of life, the other dimensions of reality. When we create a circle, yeah, we're plugging into, you might want to call it also the noosphere. There's so many words, the collective unconscious or conscious. But we're really connecting with a source of guidance, deeper intelligence, that's not just limited to our everyday monkey mind. So we need to acknowledge that and actually generate a connection to that. And to do that, we need to get centered. Each one of us participates in that process. It's not just if I do it, before the circle and I get all connected. Each one of us is coming to the circle and we're participating and contributing to the circle. So if one person's kind of like hanging out and like calling in while they're driving and they're kind of like eating their sandwich and they're not focused, it's going to affect the container. So when we do our men's groups, You know, I request that everyone is focused and present, in a dedicated, quiet place. For it's an important meeting every week, for yourself. And when you show up, and you're kind of out of sorts, it's a reflection on you. The other men see you, they're all showing up and giving it their all, and then if you don't show up like that, it's a reflection on you, and it affects the container. So maybe you do that once, and then we need to have a conversation about it to up the game. So that's what that centering is all about, to leave where you came from behind and to be fully present. Even though we do have them in the morning time, so it's not like you had a full busy day. That's why we do them in the mornings. Well, for two reasons. One, we do them because we do it early, so that's before all your scheduled activities, right? So it doesn't conflict with your work schedule, by and large. And number two, you're fresh, you're awake, you just woke up. So usually you're not already stressed out from all the things you have to do during the day. Um, but one more piece on centering is, a teaching that I learned from Jamie Sams in her Native Wisdom card deck. She calls it the burden basket. And I'm sure she learned it from her elders as well. So I want to pass it down. The burden basket's the idea that when you enter someone's home, you leave your burden basket. On a practical level, a burden basket was all of the if you're carrying stuff around the village, collecting firewood or whatever things that you have that you're collecting, that but it that you leave it outside the house when you come in to the house or the teepee, someone else's home. You respect their home, and you leave that your stuff. And so it's a metaphor, that the way she uses it. You leave your emotional baggage at the door, and when you step in and enter someone's space. So that's also what the centering practice is all about. To doesn't mean we're going to just be all happy and cheery. um, when we enter, we want to bring our realness to the group. That's the whole point. But we want to let the busyness go and have a boundary. um, we want to create a boundary between the monkey mind, the busy mind, the multitasking mind, and another way of being that eventually will permeate every aspect of the rest of your life. That you're going to switch and let go of the monkey mind altogether. That is actually the trajectory, the path. But just for this week, this hour in your week, excuse me, that centering practice is to ground you and take a breath and ask yourself, why am I here? Why am I showing up here? I take a breath, I connect with my body, my emotions, my mind, what's going on in my mind, not getting involved, but just being aware of the quality of my thoughts. And then that connection with my spirit, whatever that means to you. We take a breath, and then we do a sound practice. And, we'll have one more podcast just on the sound practice. That's a whole trajectory. But that sound practice just further deepens our experience of being rooted, grounded, and centered. So then we can enter into the space. And we also, at the end of the centering practice, connect with gratitude. We bring gratitude into the heart. And a lot of the teachings, ancient wisdom teachings from spiritual traditions, as well as the leading science, mainly from the Institute of Heart Math, has done an incredible amount of research about the electromagnetic field of your heart. And when we connect with gratitude, it's a tremendous amplifier of positive emotion, which boosts your immune system, boosts your cognitive functions, so on and so forth. Lots of practical benefits to actually feeling gratitude in your heart. It permeates your whole physical body, emotional body, your thoughts, and your sense of connectedness. So we end with gratitude, feeling that gratitude, and then we flow right into sharing gratitude with each other. So why gratitude? Again, I just said, gratitude. When we start with gratitude, there's so many teachings about when we want our lives to improve, when we want to step it up, when we want to take ourselves to the next level, we want to create a fertile soil for that. We want to appreciate the life that we already have. And one of the original instructions that my teacher, Hawk's brother, taught me in his Algonquin native tradition, it said our only instructions, the original instructions, there's only two things. One is to take good care of everything that's come before us. All the other living beings on our planet, and whatever creation story you have, in the Western tradition, right? The Old Testament, it says that we are the last beings that were created, in that story. So we're the youngest. And therefore, it's our job actually to take care of everything that's come before. And, we're not doing such a good job, to be honest, right now. So that's why we need to do men's work. It's funny, but it's not at all funny. Might as well bring humor to it so we can be loose and get active, and get real. So we need to take good care of everything, and then we need to be excuse me, I think I just got those backwards. We need to be grateful. Number one, it's just to be grateful for everything that has come before. Yeah, it's funny that I got those backwards, but that's what it is, to be grateful. That's the first instruction, actually, of the original instructions. And number two is to take good care of it. And the way that I remembered that I got it backwards is because when you are grateful for something, you naturally want to take good care of it. When you are grateful for something, you naturally want to take good care of it. So every week when we practice gratitude for your life, for the water you drink, for the good food that you have, for your family that you love, or that desire to have a family, so on and so forth. When you're grateful for those things, then you are cultivating, you're growing your desire to take better and better care of it. Maybe you're taking good care of it right now, but we can always take better care of the things that are precious to us in our lives. So that's really the deeper roots of gratitude. And then what you'll experience, because I experience it, everyone in the groups experiences it, each and every week, when you hear other people's gratitude, when you share your gratitude, we take a moment after we hear everyone's gratitude and we think about what everyone heard. We close our eyes and we say, think about everything that everyone just said, and just feel all of that gratitude. So when we share gratitude, it amplifies our own gratitude. It makes us feel more grateful. So that's why we do it. And when we feel more grateful, so on and so forth, we want to take better care of everything. It's that fertile, abundant, healthy soil, that organic soil where you plant a seed into and it grows in a healthy way. And what is that seed that we plant into gratitude? It's our vision. So right after gratitude, we go into that visioning time, and I play music, the nifty Zoom technology. You can play music from Spotify or whatever, music software you have. I use Spotify, and I, have access to all these epic songs. I like to use songs from, like the movie Avatar or Lord of the Rings, or epic movies, because we're using music that connects us to our heroic capacity, our capacity to um, connect to our courage and our wisdom, and to that calling inside of us. That kind of music, it awakens what's really in there, that wants to come forth, and we write it down. And this writing process that we do, it's, as you get deeper into it, it's less of an active process. It's a balance. It's a dance between that active process of writing something, thinking, and actually listening to the words that want to come through, and you listen to a deeper voice of guidance, of intelligence, of your authentic and unique leadership to come through. And so you write those words down, and you capture them, you hold them, they get rooted in through that writing process. And then we have the visioning time, where everyone shares their vision, for that they wrote down. You can, if it's too fresh, it's too vulnerable for you, you can just talk about what it was like, what came out, or you can actually read what you wrote. So vision is a huge topic, right? It's we crystallize it down to: what am I creating, who am I becoming, and what do I stand for? Those three elements are the core, the essence, of vision. And it gets into that deeper practice of the vision quest, which I've been so fortunate to have experienced, for a number of years now, at least once a year, about once a year. I don't usually do it more than once a year. Um, but I go out in nature, for at least one night, if not 2, 3, or 4 nights, with no food and no water, and I pray, and I've been blessed to have the opportunity to take on a Sundance pipe. If you don't know what that is, you'll learn about it in our circles. But I've been making that commitment of sun dancing in the Lakota tradition, and that means I need to carry a pipe, and I pray with that pipe. So when I go on Vision Quest, I pray with that pipe, and you don't need a pipe to go on Vision Quest. You can learn to pray in however you learn to pray, directly to the source of life, and you have that time that's real open, and nothing's, you even get bored at times out on Vision Quest, but you're in nature, and you come into that deeper awareness of yourself as a living being on this planet, and then the fact that you are going to die someday. So then what am I going to do with the days that I have left, and I like to say, today is the first day of the rest of your life. And when we really are aware of that, then we choose more intentionally and consciously. And that's really what the men's work is all about. So each week we have a mini vision quest. That's what this circle is all about, that going into that writing space. And then um, our community is going to be building an opportunity at least once a year for men to go on Vision Quest when they feel called, when they feel ready to do that work on the land, um, to go out in nature. So that's all connected to our vision, our sense of calling, that it's not my own idea what I do in the world, but there's something that I've been listening to for a long time, and something that I see, that listening and seeing, it's sight and sound, God, uh, um, they say in the creation stories all around the world, God said, let there be light, let there be earth and water, and so on and so forth. In all around the world, there's a story like that, a speaking, abracadabra. It means it is created as it is spoken. And that speaking, that sound, and then then there's light as well. So vision is about listening to the sound, and that listening connects us to a vision. So it's those two elements together, sound and light. So that's gets really deep. That place of vision, it's a very deep place to go into. The deep visions that you've had in your life, those listening, whispering voices in your heart. That's what this time is for you to remember them, for you to reclaim them, and to write them down, to speak them. When you were a kid, when you were a teenager, when you were in college, or whatever times in your life that you've had time to get in touch with why you're really here. This is a time to awaken, and remember, and to take good care of those visions, because my belief is those are the visions that are going to, when we put them into practice, when we plant them, when we commit to them, that's really what is going to create a viable future, a pathway for the children and the generations to come, is when we live those visions, when we have the courage and the wisdom to make it happen. And so from there, we focus on action, right? Action. So here's the thing, right, about being a man, and walking the tightrope, walking that razor's edge, the narrow path of having a vision. But a lot of times, we talk about selling out. I know my generation, sometimes I look at adults, I say, oh, they sold out. So I can't have a lot of respect for that person. They sold out. They took an easier way. They took that security. They didn't listen to that deep calling, you know. And I look at them and I say, okay, well, I have compassion for that person, but they didn't go through their fear and of the unknown, uh, as much as they could have. And then I look at this person over here, and I see, wow, they really did. They didn't sell out. They went further and further with the vision, and they took action, real action in the world. So that's where, I heard Nelson Mandela talk about, vision without action is fantasy, but action without vision is frivolous, or I don't know exactly, something along those lines, right? So if we take action in our lives without that deep taproot of connection to what is really meaningful, then at best, we do something that is frivolous, or that's meaningless. At worst, we are destructive, right? And a lot of men in the world, I'm talking about our economy, that's a huge tangent, our patriarchy, our toxic masculinity that we've inherited, and that we as men now can take a stand for, and transform and say, no, that's not who I am. uh, you know a lot of it comes from not listening to the deeper calling of what it really means to be a man, to be a protector of life, of women, of children, and of life, of all of our ecosystems, to really be a protector, and to be a steward, a cultivator of goodness, of life, so that children can continue on into the future, that life will continue in a beautiful way. That's what it really means to be a man. All this other stuff, power, dominance, war, it's, it's a whole topic that we don't need to get into right now, and we will get into. It's there, right? It's that other path. But what we're doing is we're focusing as men in these Tending Fire men's groups on being protectors of life in our way, in our families, in our communities, like that. And like that, we create a network, a very powerful network of men who are taking a stand for what's right. And so from there, that action that we take, right? And so in the realm of action, we're talking about time and task management, right? We're talking about priorities. We're talking about project management, planning, structures in your days and your weeks, how to get things done. So we get into the left brain in the action focus. And, if you're an activist, then you still need to be organized. If you're an artist, you still need to be organized. Of course, if you're a business owner, you need to be organized, but you also need vision, right? Real leadership comes from vision. So that's like fire and water, right? The action's the fire, but that water, that dreamy, visioning place, we need it. Water and fire together is what creates warmth and life, right? The water is what really creates life. The fire is what creates the warmth in our life. So that's the action. And then, just to end on the action part is we focus on what's one action that you're going to take for the next week. And that's where we anchor our accountability, right? We crystallize it, we essentialize it. You shared your vision. What's one action that's connected to your vision that's going to move you forward? And then the next week you say, did I do it or did I not do it? Am I a man of my word? Am I going to follow through on what's really important to me? And we really work hard. We practice designing actions that you can say, did I do it or did I not do it? Right? Instead of saying, I'm going to work on my marketing and outreach. Like, how do I know you did that really? Well, instead, you can say, I'm going to make 3 outreach calls to potential leads. Yes, you did it. 1, 2, 3. You did it, or you only made 2. So it was a nice try, but you didn't do it. So it's important for us as men to have that line, in the sand, that I did it or I didn't. I followed through on my commitment. And then the last part is inspiration. So everything that we do in that 1 hour is all about that forward movement, feeding and tending the fire of life, of being an inspiring man. And so then we reflect that back. We digest it, we metabolize it by sharing what was it that inspired me. And maybe it's 2 or 3 things, maybe it's 5 or 10 things. Probably it is, but we just choose one. Sometimes you can sneak 2 in there, depending if we have a little extra time at the end. But you share, what is it that you said? Maybe you inspired yourself, and I'm sure you will in these calls. And number 2, maybe someone else said something that inspired you. Or number 3, maybe you had a thought that inspired you. And the chances are all 3 of those things happen. But again, I'm just going to choose 1 or 2 things to share with the group at the end. And then we close again with just getting centered for another moment, just to tie the bundle, to make it whole again, to close and contain the circle so that it's like a energy packed capsule. That it's like a piece, it's like medicine. We were cooking medicine during that 1 hour, and at the end we drink it. We drink that medicine, and it energizes us, focuses us, it inspires us, gives us the courage, the wisdom that we need to have a conscious, intentional week. So those are the core practices, the 5 core elements of our work in the circle. And you're welcome to use those, in your own circles, with men and women. It works. But we're doing it here as part of our Tending Fire men's groups and men's community. So thank you so much, and look forward to being with you on the next one.